And welcome back, everybody, to a special episode of the DoDcast. I'm your host, District on Deck co-editor Ricky Keeler, as we react to the breaking news that 4 hours before the game, after what everybody thought Tanner Roark was going to start Game 4 of this NLDS for the Nationals against the Cubs, it is now likely, according to John Morosi of Fox Sports and MLB Network, that Stephen Strasburg is going to get the start this afternoon after everybody thought that he was done. Dusty Baker said yesterday that it was about, really, when you take a look at everything, this has been an absolute cluster for the Washington Nationals, because you talk about a fan base that wants to see this team win, that wants to do everything right, and they flat out don't. And that's a problem for this team, because you take a look at everything that's gone wrong, and I think if you want to look at Barry Svrluga's comment in the Post, there's just no communication between Stephen Strasburg, between Dusty Baker. I think you can give a problem to anybody in this situation, but I think most of the blame falls on Strasburg. This is a game that you should want to pitch. This is a game where you shouldn't have to be peer pressured to pitch in this game. This is a game that can change your legacy. This is a game where if you win game one and you pitch the great game in game one where you throw 5 no-hit innings into the 6th, game you shouldn't have lost. If you come out and have that same performance today, your legacy in DC gets changed from what happened 5 years ago. It's Ron Juckett joins me. Ron, I was going off the point that I don't care what happens today with Stephen Strasburg. His legacy continues to be defined by shutdowns, by not wanting to pitch because he's under the weather. I don't think this team can handle it much worse, and maybe this takes pressure off the hitters, but this has been absolutely stunning that we have to record this 4 hours before the game.
Oh, my goodness. This is the biggest giant Google cluster you could expect before a game. There are no winners in this. What about poor Tanner Roark, who thought he was actually going to get this start? He's prepared for it. Now, we might use you in the bullpen. As far as reputations are concerned, you're right. They could not have handled this worse if they tried.
Like, what has Tanner Roark done to make this organization angry? They took him out of the rotation 3 years ago to put Max Scherzer in, which at the time looks fine, but that you can tell that messed up Tanner Roark. He was never the same as a reliever. Last year he was pretty good. This year in the second half he was pretty good. You touted him as the Game 4 starter all along. There's damage control with him, because I didn't think he's felt like the last 3 years that he's been disrespected in an organization.
Right, and he's still at 2 RBs left too. So there's going to be you're just hurting the seeds in the future for that. I mean, obviously, the big difference is if you have a Stephen Strasburg in a must-win game, you go with a Stephen Strasburg in a must-win game. That's nothing against Tanner Roark.
No.
That's simply, look, we have to do what we can to win this game. And if the bats don't come alive in 4 hours, you could put, Bob Gibson and Sandy Koufax in their prime, and it wouldn't matter. I mean, that's essentially what the Nets have given you anyway. But, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, Roark's got to be thinking, what have I got to do? I mean, he had a better ERA last year than Scherzer did.
This is a team trying to make excuses for why they lose. It is not a team looking to win. It's not a team trying to do the best they can to win. And I hate saying this because we'll probably say it later if they lose, but we'll say it again. They keep having excuses. You said it best. The storyline should be the offense. It should be, where's the bats?
Right.
Where's everything else? The storyline's about him. The storyline is about what Barry Svrluga said. He, in his column, he looks like a diva here. Oh, it's off my routine. Max Scherzer throws short rest. Chris Sale threw out of the bullpen the other day. Justin Verlander threw out of the bullpen the other day, and he gets paid like those guys.
Max Scherzer pitched with an injury that we're not sure what the full extent of it was this week, and threw a no-hitter for 6 innings.
He should have looked at the dugout opposite him last year and watched what Clayton Kershaw did, and watch him pitch on short rest in an elimination game and pitch on no days rest in the 9th inning to close out the series. That's what he gets paid like. That's what he should be. And he's not that. I don't care what he does today. He's not that.
And, in a story that I had to yank that was supposed to go up at noon, pretty much called him out for those reasons. I mean, was it mold in a hotel room? Was it an asthma attack while he was jogging? Who cares? Just be honest with the reason. You know, you threw your manager under a bus. Oh, everyone is under the weather. Please. Everyone else is signing up to play today. And so now it takes public pressure to make you want to pitch.
Why do they put Dusty Baker in such a bad spot like this? To me, he gets the least amount of blame here. I think they gave him bad information that he said on the air.
Right. He gave the bullpen date wrong. He said he pulled through a bullpen yesterday when it was really on a Monday.
I mean, he doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve what the narrative is going on with him right now.
No one in this organization outside of Scott Boras and Stephen Strasburg deserve this. Mike Rizzo doesn't deserve this. The Lerners don't deserve this. You're 4 hours in front of a possible a game that you must win, or else your season's over. You and I are on the air at 10 minutes at 12 on a Wednesday afternoon to discuss this. You know, we've only done 3 special reports all year. The Turner injury, this, and there was one other. It must have been an injury or something like that.
I think it was the Weeder signing we did a special report on.
Right, you know, so one of the, I mean, yes, this is for all the wrong reasons. For all the wrong reasons.
Chelsea Jane's tweeting from the Washington Post that there's a chance. It's still likely and a chance. Keep in mind, we are in 4 hours till first pitch. The Nats don't have a lineup yet or a confirmed starting pitcher. Meanwhile, the Cubs have everybody the same as yesterday, and they're probably laughing in their clubhouse right now.
That's what, Cubby's Crib and I were talking back and forth just before you went on the air, and that's exactly right. You could hear them laughing all the way from Chicago. You're down in New York and up here in Vermont. I mean, this is just absolutely no way to run an organization. Now, today's probably the day they score 11, and this is all forgotten in about 8 hours. But
is it all forgotten?
There'll be lingering things, but we won't be allowed to talk about it because
I think they have to win the series for it to be all forgotten.
Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's say he doesn't pitch at all, or whatever. There's going to be whispers to trade this diva, if this was a diva-like decision. The fact that they can't get whatever the illness was, their story straight on that. Was it flu-like symptoms? Was it asthma? Was it mold in the hotel's air conditioning system? Does he have a giant case of Wrigley-itis? Can't use that now because
he hasn't pitched at Wrigley, I think, since 2013.
Right.
What I said yesterday.
It's just the optics here are god awful, absolutely terrible.
The only pitcher that should not be available today is, I would say, whoever the Game 5 starter is, which I think is now Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah,
and I would say Max Scherzer should not be available because that's the guy I want pitching an inning in Game 5, not an inning in Game 4 where then I can't use him tomorrow.
I mean, the worst possible thing that can happen today is that Roark starts and then you burn Strasburg out of the pen, which is what
that's what it should have been. It should have been Roark on a short leash, give him the chance to pitch. He's earned the chance to pitch, and Strasburg be ready to go.
But wouldn't you have rather had Strasburg on a full start for a possible Game 5 and use Gio today?
This was before. Well, then you're pitching Gio on short rest, and I don't even know what Gio's time period is.
Even for an inning or two, it's fine. I mean, you're not talking about you. I mean, look, if they get in trouble early, if they get down 3 or 4 today with this offense, they're not coming back anyway.
Oh, with this offense and what's happened today, if they get down 3 or 4, this game's over.
I hate to be pessimistic about this, but this is just for a team that does 95% of things right. This is just absolutely pathetic.
Now, the only thing you have to hope for is that the numbers stick what it is. And Strasburg has 31 strikeouts in his last 3 starts against the Cubs dating back to last year. So for some reason, he knows how to pitch this lineup and does a pretty good job at it. I mean, you have to hope now that he knows how to handle all this, because it doesn't sound like he knows how to handle all this. I mean, you listen to, I think it was the Sports Junkies 106.7, and there was the quote that Strasburg told Mike Maddox, "I'll give you what I have." And if I hear a quote like that, why would I pitch it? It doesn't sound like you want to pitch.
That's what it comes out. That's what it comes out there. And now Zuckerman is saying they haven't ruled out the possibility he starts today. It's 11:50.
4 hours before first pitch.
11:50. No, it's about 3 hours. It's 11:50. 4 hours. Yeah, it's 11:53 a.m. here, and no one knows who is starting this game.
When's the pregame presser going to be at 3:45?
It'll be sometime about 9 o'clock tonight when we've all, reached into our stashes of beer.
It doesn't change on our prediction on Game 4 whether Strasburg pitches or not. I don't think, right?
Oh, I think at this point it just kind of makes it worse, because now if he does start this game. Hold on, Sarah. My wife is now here. It is now a case of all the expectations is. Oh, NBC Sports Chicago tweets out, Stephen Strasburg now reportedly set to, quote, put his balls on the line, end quote, and start Game 4 of the Nationals.
I think that was a Mike Rizzo quote.
Is that a Rizzo quote?
I believe that is a Rizzo quote from this morning.
It's a case of now you've put all the pressure on yourself. And, these are the games that set back careers. If he goes out and gets lit up today, it sets him back. Zuckerman says maybe Dusty was playing 13-dimensional chess with all of us this time. All right, so I'll let you. So anything in the chat, Ricky?
I actually have not opened the chat.
So it's just the two of us.
I can open the chat and see if we have anybody, because I have the link here real quick. We got a lot of people.
Okay, let's go through the chat real quick, and then we'll wrap this up.
We got a Cubs fan in here saying it doesn't matter who will pitch. Seth says this will be the flu game for Major League Baseball.
Pedro Gomez reports hearing Strasburg may now start Game 4. He was on the early Buster Wrigley decision in the Nationals' hands. Chelsea Jane says words from the Nat side is there's a possibility. Word from person close to Strasburg is that they now expect him to start.
Here's the exchange that Rizzo had with Rizzo does a weekly segment on 106.7 in DC. He had him on this morning. I forget. I don't know who hosts that show, but I hear them all the time. They're okay. Rizzo first said, but we're judged on winning this playoff series. Do you think for 1 second, if I think Strasburg, as he is, gives us a better chance to win than Game 4 than Tanner Roark, I wouldn't pitch Stephen Strasburg? Why? Because I don't want to win this game or what? So wake up, fellas. Come on. Guy from the show says, but Michael, take offense at. Of course you want to win it, but if you know deep down, and I'm just going to take this tack, you know deep down that Steven doesn't perform well when he's not just right. So you're making the call for your team, but fans have the right to question why this guy won't at least attempt to put his balls on the line.
Chelsea just tweets out, word from my side is not suitable for public forums.
So then Rizzo fires back, says he's attempting to put his balls on the line. He went out and threw a bullpen and said, Mike Maddox, pitching coach, I'm going to give you everything I have. I don't know how many it is. So that's the quote from Maddox. This is, again, Chris Lingenbach from 106.7. The Fan had the tweet if you want to look at it. I don't even think Rizzo handled that well this morning. I don't think anybody knows how to handle it. And it's something where a loss today, we said yesterday, heads will roll from if they
they will now. I didn't think they would before, but they will now. I mean, this rain delay was an absolute godsend to the Washington.
And you'd rather just played the game yesterday.
And now, if you're going through with the continuing cluster, the fact that TBS would rather air reruns. What was it? Was Amanda Tricorder Miami that they ran at 6 o'clock last night instead of? It was some stupid thing that
Angie Tribeca or something. Or
Angie Tribeca Miami. You ever heard of that, Sarah? Sarah shaking her head no. She's trying to.
I guess they should just say Friends or Seinfeld or something.
At least something that people would want to watch. But I mean, this is they've turned a positive into now something that it's kind of like going on a roller coaster and not putting the shoulder straps down on you. You may survive the ride, but was it really worth it in the end? And what are you going to have emotionally left if there is a Game 5 now?
Which would be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern. So we're going to wrap it up here because we're all busy. Ron's working on something that we'll plug this video into. We'll be back. Of course, Ron will be with you for the game at 4 o'clock. We'll all be back. I think all three of us will be here after the game today.
I'd imagine all three of us will be here.
I don't think any of that changes, so we'll talk more about this. We'll talk more about Game 4. I'm sure we'll let Ron talk about John Farrell. I'll talk about the Yankees in Game 5, and we'll hopefully have some fun because it's been really frustrating. But thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you back here 7 hours from now.
Talk to you later.